Hello and welcome. We're always told to change our habits, to change our mindset. But what if the biggest, most powerful change came from repeating just one simple sentence to yourself? Today, we're diving into a method for transforming the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Let's get into it. Does this feel at all familiar? That little voice in your head? The one that's always nagging, always finding fault? It can feel like you're stuck in this endless loop of self-doubt. It's exhausting, right? But what if the key to breaking free isn't some big, complicated therapy, but something way, way simpler? So our guide for this actually comes from a pretty unexpected place. It comes from author Kamal Ravikant, who found himself at absolute rock bottom. I mean, his business had failed, he was sick, he felt completely lost. When literally everything else was gone, what was the one thing that could actually pull him out of that darkness? And this is what's so wild about his story. The solution wasn't some 10-step plan or a complex new philosophy he had to learn. Nope. It was a single, powerful commitment, a vow he made just to himself that ended up changing absolutely everything. This was it. This was the vow. I vow to love myself deeply, today and always. That's it. See, the power isn't in some fancy poetic language, it's just in the raw, simple intention. This one sentence became the foundation, the anchor for rebuilding his entire life from the ground up. Okay, so it's one thing to make a vow like that, but how do you actually turn it into a daily reality? Well, it all comes down to three surprisingly simple tools that make up the core of this whole practice. And here's the entire roadmap, and it's just beautifully simple. First, you start with the vow, right? To make that solid commitment. Then you reinforce it all day long with the mantra. And finally, you deepen it and really let it sink in with the meditation. Let's just take a quick look at each one. So, tool number one, the vow. This is your personal promise. And the act of writing it down, just like Kamal did, is so important. It makes it real, it makes it tangible. It's not just some fleeting thought in your head anymore, it's a physical thing. You are, quite literally, signing a contract with yourself. Next up, we've got the mantra. Now, this is the active, in-the-moment part of the whole practice. It's just that one phrase, I love myself. You just repeat it, silently or out loud, as you go about your day. Its only job is to be an interruption, to break the cycle of that old, negative inner voice. And finally, the meditation. Now, don't worry, this doesn't have to be long or complicated at all. We're talking about just a few quiet moments to focus on the feeling of self-love. It's where you let the words of the mantra really sink in, turning it from just an idea in your head into something you actually feel. This is what helps make the change really stick. Now, I know some of this might sound a little bit, well, soft, but there's a real psychological process happening here. This practice is about so much more than just temporary good feelings. It's actually about physically changing your brain. I want you to think of your thoughts like water flowing down a hill. After years and years of self-criticism, you've carved these really deep grooves, these neural pathways, for all that negativity. The mantra, I love myself, is like you intentionally deciding to redirect that water. Slowly but surely, you start carving a new positive groove. And with enough repetition, that new pathway gets deeper, more natural, and eventually it becomes your new default. So here's what that looks like in the real world. The old pattern is on the left, right? Something goes wrong, and your brain's immediate default is, I failed. But with practice, you build this new rewired response on the right. You immediately counter that thought with, I love myself. You're not trying to deny reality, you're just refusing to let that reality become a weapon you use against yourself. Okay, so we've covered the theory behind it, but what does this actually look like when a real person applies it to their life? Let's check out a quick case study to see the kinds of tangible results we're talking about. Let's meet David. Now, David struggles with something a lot of us can probably relate to: anxiety and this really harsh inner critic that's totally driven by perfectionism. He decided to give this super simple method a try, just to see if it could actually make a difference. And this was his game plan, super simple.
He had a personal vow: I love myself fully no matter what. He used the mantra whenever he started feeling stressed. He started just noticing his self-criticism and consciously countering it. And he added a tiny 1-minute meditation to his day. The key here is just how small and achievable all of this is. No massive overhaul.
So, what happened? Well, after just a few weeks, David noticed a real, tangible shift. His baseline anxiety started to go down. The voice in his head, his inner monologue, became noticeably kinder. And because of those two things, his overall confidence just improved. This simple little practice created a profound change in his day-to-day emotional state.
And this really brings us to a key takeaway here. In a world that is constantly trying to sell us these complex, expensive solutions, why is something so ridiculously uncomplicated so darn effective?
Well, its power is in its accessibility. I mean, think about it. We are surrounded by social media comparison traps, a constant fire hose of negativity. This practice isn't just another thing to add to your to-do list and stress about. It's a gentle, constant, and totally private reorientation. It's like a little anchor of self-compassion you can use anywhere, anytime, to pull yourself back to center. And over time, this daily practice leads to this much deeper shift in perspective, which is summed up so beautifully by this thought from the book. It's not that the world magically changes around you, but your experience of it does. When you start approaching life from a place of self-worth and kindness, you start to notice all the good that was probably there all along.
And so we end with this question. This is the question that Ravikant suggests you ask yourself whenever you're facing a choice, big or small. It just cuts through all the noise, all the fear, the doubt, the expectations from other people, and it gets right to the core of what truly serves you. It's not just a question, it's a compass for navigating your life. So what would you do differently? Maybe even starting today if you asked yourself this.